The Dentalpreneur Podcast. Okay, doctor, it's time to put down that handpiece. You're listening to the show dedicated to helping dentists get their lives back. It's time to decrease your stress, increase your profitability, and regain your passion. Now introducing your host, Dr. Mark Costas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dentalpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mark Costas. What's up, friends? I hope you are doing great out there today. I am hydrated and caffeinated, so it's going to be a good day. A beautiful fall day here. Still football season in Prescott, Arizona. My son actually has a football game tonight. Very excited. I haven't bragged up him that much this year, but he is he's playing junior varsity. He's a sophomore. He's the kicker, safety, wide receiver, punt returner, kick returner. So the kid is never off the field. They have him coming up to play varsity just to kick field goals for them. So yes, I'm very excited. Football season is a very exciting time in our house this time of year. Listen, guys, I have a very exciting new guest that I just met recently here. A new friend. Her name is Cameron Pivach, and Cameron is the founder of Vessel Marketing, a New Orleans-based social media agency serving clients nationwide. With a background in marketing, Cameron's journey includes unique roles as a Disney character, performer, and director of operations for a VC-backed startup. These diverse experiences ignited her passion for storytelling and using social media to drive business growth. Today, she specializes in helping small businesses, particularly in the dental industry, amplify their brand and practice stories online. Cameron, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
I have to ask you first and foremost, I can see it. Yeah. You would be definitely the stereotypical Disney character. So who did you play? Who were you?
Yeah, so I have to keep Disney integrity. So I was friends with Princess Anna from Frozen.
Oh, yes, I can see that 100%.
I got fit for Belle, but not approved. So close, but didn't happen.
Was it there in Florida at Disney World?
Yes, Disney World. Yep.
Tell me about that experience. How was that?
Honestly, it was like looking back, it was crazy. I was, I think, 20 at the time. So I don't even think I really grasped how meaningful those interactions really were. But now looking back, it's crazy to think of all the families that I was able to meet. And, some of these families, that's their one time going to Disney World and they'll never be able to go again. And so just having those really special moments where the kids are just starstruck and in awe. It was absolutely amazing. But one of the greatest parts about it was that I was able to storytell through, this character and really keep Disney's, legacy and stories alive through myself as the vessel to be able to do that. And so it was just really, really special to be able to learn about storytelling and how to connect it with each group that, you interacted with. And so that was one of the reasons why I liked marketing and everything as well. And why I like story brand telling, and telling stories. And so, yeah, it was a really cool experience.
That is awesome. So as a person that kind of consults with and works with small businesses, dental offices, et cetera, how useful was your experiences at a place that really focused on customer service and customer experience? How have you been able to use that in your role now as a marketer?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I like to communicate with my clients is we are trying to make sure that before someone decides to come to your office or, picks up the phone and makes an appointment, we get to give them a digital experience of what it's like to come to that office. Oh. Who are the people you're going to interact with? What is your brand that makes you different than the other dental office down the street? Because that is what separates you. Mm-hmm. And so trying to tell, showcase how we can tell those stories digitally to where those experiences, your patient care cards, all the things that make your business unique or your dental practice more, specialized and making a really great experience for your patients. That's all things that we try to communicate with through your social media, but also in visual aspects. Are we going to do it in video? Are we going to do it in pictures? And how do we capture that? And that is something where it is, the foundation of business is their experience and what it's like of customer service when you walk through, the gates of Magic Kingdom. So really for us, it's like, we're trying to do that same thing with the social media. Is like, before you walk through the door at that office, are you getting a really great feeling for this practice? And do you want to be a new patient there? And that's what we're trying to communicate, but also, strengthen those relationships and remind our existing patients that this is why you come here. These are the things that you love about our experiences that we can offer you. So we do that all in a digital format. And it really resonates with the communities that, we have established for our clients.
That's amazing. So take us back in the DeLorean, take us back in the way back machine and tell us how you originated and how you got into dentistry and working with dentists in the first place.
So fun fact, I actually decided to go into school and thinking I was going to do dental hygiene actually.
Oh.
So I have always loved the dental industry. I actually went to a dental practice and did some shadowing to see during the days and everything. So I was going in for dental hygiene, and it actually wasn't until I went for my Disney internship that I realized I was like, I love dental, but I think I need a little bit more dynamic in my schedule. And so I decided to come back and change my major, and I landed on marketing. Mm-hmm. But again, I was always interested in dentistry, and my dentist, I thought I love her practice. She's been my dentist since I was little. And then even going to college, I would come back. I would travel 2 hours for my dental appointments because I liked her that much. Oh. And so I actually brought up to her that I wanted to start doing social media marketing, and I thought she would be a great fit for our, first client. And she trusted me and said, yeah, I think you take my brand and, kind of run with it. And so I started posting for her, loved it. And then my second client was an orthodontic group. And then since orthodontic groups to and actually sleep doctors as well, into our client list. And so that's where I've always liked the industry. I thought I was going to go into dentistry, but now I just do marketing for them. And so that's where I got started.
That's cool. So, love your background, and I can see how it would be very helpful in storytelling, but let's talk about the difference in the industries, right? So, hospitality and the whole kind of Disney experience, the whole thing is about experience. It's not about a service-based industry, especially dentistry, for goodness sake, right? So I always say that, the bar is set kind of low for dentistry. People are expecting it to be a miserable experience. People are expecting, kind of a mundane, if nothing else, it's going to be somewhat quick, and I'll be in and out of there. Nothing to write home about, but something that I just have to do, right? So how do you take that kind of Disney experience and your predilection to telling stories and weave that into a dental brand?
Yeah. So I would say, to start, what we try to do is we try to communicate to the audience that, and a lot of these brands that do invest in social media and their presence online, they want to change that narrative. They want it to be a different experience. So we try to, like I was saying, come up with ways to showcase, the different aspects of your experience when you walk through the door, making sure that they're going to have a patient care card. Not every dental office does that. So if that's an aspect that you do that showcases, what types of services that they have to offer and how their care is going to be different, then we showcase that. We also do videos where we explain why we do X-rays different than just normal scans, or how we do the digital impressions instead of having to do the old gunky ones, So we try to showcase those new aspects of each dental practice of what's to be expected, and that it's not about just hurting you or making, you're not going to come in here and be in pain. We're going to showcase that when you sit in the chair, we offer, blankets for you, or noise canceling headphones, to where you have a much more comfortable for your experience. And so it's finding those ways to showcase through patient testimonials, videos, interviewing, our patients, what they love about their experience, to be able to showcase the rest of the audience that sees sees the content, that's the experience they're going to get. And it is changing. It's not just everyone should hate the dentist. We want to change that narrative. And so that's what we really kind of focus on, kind of showcasing how we're changing that narrative for each brand.
That's cool. So tell me about the list of your services. Like, what do you focus on? If you have a brand new client, maybe they have an outdated website and they're not doing a whole lot of digital marketing, or their digital marketing is stale and it's not producing the results that they want it to. What do you do as far as an audit, and how do you get started with a new client?
So we specialize in social media management. Okay. So really what we do is we can either come in like consulting if they still feel like they kind of just don't have the bandwidth of coming up with the creatives and need more of like a plan, but they still want to execute it on their own. We offer consulting services where we can just kind of like you said, audit their page, like see what they did with the video, tell them different ways that could have optimized it and made their performance better. We'll review all of their analytics for them to kind of see what is working, what's not working. Did this one get high engagement? Things like that. And then we give them like a whole calendar that they can use each month if they're wanting to still handle it in-house. We also offer complete, social media management. I like to say we give it to you like on a silver platter. But basically for our clients, what we do is we come up with all of the visual content, the videos. If we're not there in person to get the videos, we'll coach you on how to get those, and you send it to us to where you just record it and send it back to us. We edit everything for you. Or if it is a local group, we can do like in-person visits, and get content as well. But we take all of that content, come up with all the captions, all the hashtags, we research, what's working in the industry, things like that. And then we get to a content calendar for a whole month. And that way you can review it, approve it, look at everything, make sure, we are well versed in the dental industry, but we are not dentists. So we do want to make sure that we're reviewing for accuracy and that y'all, our clients are happy with everything that we have prepared. But other than that, we post everything for you. And so it's social media done for you and you don't have to even think about it.
That's cool. So what have you seen as far as results? So I always wonder, we do a lot of social media for my type of business, but I have a national footprint, right? So if you are optimizing your social media, what happens if it goes beyond local, right? And what if your reach is mostly non-local? How do you pull that back in so it's relevant to, a desirable area? Are there ways to make sure that the people that you want to see your posts are actually seeing them?
Yeah. So what we focus on really specifically is organic social media. With organic, you are going to, if you're posting reels, you're going to get those outside audiences, and maybe reach people that aren't really local to you. But most of that organic reach is going to be in your local area. People that are like close to you, that are similar to your followers as well. And so that's kind of what we focus on as far as our growth strategies. Okay. If we are running ads, then you do have to make sure that, we aren't running it in a 200-mile radius, because those people aren't going to be coming to your office, right? So with ads, you can be a little bit more specific about the locations that you're serving the post to. But for us, we really focus on making sure that those that organic growth, the people around us are seeing all of your posts. And really, again, like it's community building. So, making sure that we're like maybe cross promoting with other local businesses and brands and things like that. And that's all going to make sure that our reach is getting to different audiences, but we are staying in a local area that's going to serve you and hopefully get more patients in your area that would come to you that don't live, 500 miles away and see your posts and like your brand, but can't be a patient of yours.
Yeah. Have you noticed that reels and posts that are more, I guess like on an iPhone video, that are underproduced are more attractive or more appealing to an audience, or are the overly produced kind of ones with, where you're switching camera angles and scenes from second to second? Which ones do better?
So I would say it just kind of depends. And especially with the social media world, everything kind of changes. Some things will get a lot of attraction and engagement, but then the next style, it will, next week it'll find it takes off even more. I do think that a personal, iPhone video does really well because it just seems so much more natural and relatable.
Yeah.
And so those, whenever like a dentist is just talking casually in the phone, those actually do really well, even if they're giving more higher like educational information or things like that. If we put educational information in the style of just like grabbing your phone, a quick you sitting in your office explaining something, that always will outperform a very high produced video with a lot of, educational information.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to like kind of make, like I was saying, make those topics more interesting and relatable when it's in that like very raw, natural feeling with an iPhone. But I do think the ones where it's more like high quality branded, where it's just kind of like showcasing, the whole story of the business and the brand and the practice, those can still do really well, even though they're more high produced. Depending on the message, it's still, people really enjoy seeing those and they look really, really nice on your page.
So what do you think people prefer? Like the educational content or the humanizing the doc and the team? Like, I'm not a scary guy. Like, I'm not going to hurt you. Like, look, I have, here's me with Mrs. Jones and she's super sweet and we're having a good conversation. Like, what is the good, what is the goods?
Yeah, I will always say, I think humanizing the brand, like you said, is always going to trump the content and perform really well, just because it makes people feel like you are a real person and not, like you said, someone's gonna cause pain or anything like that. And it allows someone to feel like they know you a lot more, so the trust is there. And it's just it definitely resonates a lot more on like on a connection base than those really stiff educational posts.
Yeah.
So that's, if any of my clients are willing to get on camera and be just themselves, I'm always up for it, because that's going to always outperform anything else that we, produce.
What is your preferred cadence for posting? How often and how long should the posts be? Is video always the preferable media? Lots of questions there.
I like to do a mix of video and pictures. I do think even though videos are, can reach farther audiences with the reels and the trending sounds and all that good stuff, I do think there's a place for pictures, because not everyone has the attention span to sit and watch videos. Sometimes they just want to see a picture, double tap and keep scrolling. As far as frequency, my recommended like minimum would be 3 posts per week.
Okay.
And this is because it typically keeps your page active every other day, of you actually posting something. And with that cadence, it allows that the days that you're not actively posting or making something go up on your page, the activity from the previous post is still kind of like trickling and, rolling over into that following day that doesn't have an active post going out. Mm-hmm. So it still keeps that activity up, which is going to help with your performance of your page. If it's too dormant, then it's going to be a lot harder for your page to be seen by more and more followers. The algorithm just won't feed it to as many people if they don't think it's a very active page. As far as length of posts, I always say kind of like, depending on who your audience is and what they're used to, if they're used to really lengthy captions and things like that, and they read a lot, then you can go ahead and have those longer formatted, messages and things like that. But if you know that your audience typically likes those short and sweet posts and they perform well, then definitely, keep up with that and, share those. As far as videos and time of like length of videos, I would always say, shorter is better until you start kind of seeing if your audience is, has the attention span to watch longer videos, and then you can start adding in lengthier formats.
Got it. So is it activity, content? What is feeding a healthy, like what is the algorithm seeking? Like what is going to get the algorithm to push you out to more local people, to your avatar? Yeah.
So for video, one of the main things is video watch length. So if someone's looking at your video for 2 seconds and then scrolls because it doesn't catch their attention, that's a low performing video in the algorithm's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So if your video has long, watch times through your followers, and that's going to tell it, people are staying on this one post for 9 seconds, 10 seconds, watching it all the way through, the algorithm's going to go, oh, wow, okay, it's catching attention. It's keeping people intrigued and they're watching through the end. Let's push this out to more people and see how well it does. It's kind of the same thing with carousels. If you have a 5-slide carousel and people only swipe to the second or third and then they drop off because you lost their attention, then that's another way the algorithm's reading that people aren't staying, in this post. And that's another way to show that it didn't get much attention. Let's not, keep pushing it out to followers because it's not keeping people's attention. As far as like your pictures and things like that, for its performance, it's going to look at if people are sending it to people, like, is this a cool picture that they want to share with somebody and direct message it to a friend? Are they commenting? Are they liking the picture? More likes, obviously, is going to show the algorithm that people paused, double tapped, and then kept scrolling, but they stopped. They had a scroll stopping reaction. And so those are the things that the algorithm will kind of read to see how it's doing, if it's a static post, if it's a picture.
Cool. Are you finding that certain age demographics and gender demographics prefer different social media platforms? I mean, I know my kids would never be caught dead on Facebook. They think it's all for grandparents and people my age. So what are you seeing? What is your strategy? Do you disperse content amongst all of the platforms, or what do you prefer as far as the strategy?
Yeah, so for most of our clients, we do still find that Facebook and Instagram do work really like well hand in hand as far as like most of the content. Now, we will make sure that if we're posting videos on Instagram or if we're posting a video on Facebook, we will go into those platforms and really make sure that we're optimizing for that platform. So we're going to grab the sounds for Facebook, the sounds for Instagram. We're not going to, post on both and just roll with one, one sound from one platform. Also captions and things like that on the video. We're going to make sure that we're using the styles within those platforms to where it's optimized as best as we can. But I do think that they say like Facebook is dead. Facebook is not dead. There's a lot of people that still, interact on there. And I would say, like, oddly enough, like the fun videos that work really well on Instagram because it is a younger audience, the older generations on Facebook still really appreciate those and laugh at them. That's where they go for their entertainment as well. So it's interesting, but I would say like they still, even though you would think it's completely different content, that needs to be posted, both of the age demographics still resonate with the content that we're posting. And it's always interesting. This is something I have found that most of the time for some of our clients, if we're trying to get some like comments or interaction from our audience, I would say the Facebook group and the older demographics, they're always willing to comment on the quizzes and try to like give interaction. And so definitely they have a much more like interaction style with their content. And then for Instagram, it's most of the younger kids that they might give you a like, but they're going to keep scrolling. They're not going to wait and, stop to comment. So that's just how they interact with the posts and with the different demographics.
Cool. Is TikTok worth the effort?
I do think so. I would say a lot of my clients aren't on TikTok, but I do think that TikTok it can be used for dental practices. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Got it. Do you have some good guerrilla tactics, some cool strategies for getting your follower count up? Like, are you posting like social media, like boards, like on the countertop when you walk into a dental practice? How are you getting your own patient base to engage and follow you on social media? And then how are you growing that follower count beyond your internal patient base?
Yeah. So I would say, look, we always tell our clients to have like, the little reminders, like follow us on social. And we always tell our, dentists and everybody else in the clinic, remind people like, do you follow us on Instagram? Have you seen this picture? Things like that. Or if you are taking pictures with those patients, say like, make sure you're following our page where you can see the post. And then, making sure that they go and interact with it by either like, if their friends comment, getting them to share it. So kind of just like teaching your already established community to, teaching them to share their posts on their pages, things like that, to where you can cross promote. Is always like really helpful. And then what we do for our clients, and another way that we can do that is, posting reels is another way to get outside of that, follower count and trying to gain more followers. And so we do see that, the more visibility and the more higher performing videos we do get an uptick and people following the page. And so it's a kind of like a synergy that we really want to have happen. So it is that word of mouth and like getting people and having that conversation with patients in person to follow their page. And then also doing other things on the platforms by tagging people, tagging other businesses, things like that, to where you are getting more visibility. Another great way to do that is, if there's a giveaway or if you're doing like a donation night or something like that, tag teaming with another group that you could use and, making sure people like go to your page, follow it, things like that. That's another way to like get those follower accounts up. And make sure it's also in line with your brand and your message, because then you keep those followers, and it's not just people that are just wanting the giveaway. You want to make sure that it's community based and people are actually going to follow your page and stay following your page. So that's a good way to do that.
Yeah, that kind of leads to my next question. Like, how often is too often if to have like a call to action or an offer or a giveaway or something? Because at some point people tune out, right? If they feel like they're sold to every single time that they open one of your posts. So what's your recommended frequency for that sort of thing?
Yeah, I would say especially since like giveaways, you typically want to have them open for about a month or something along those lines to kind of build up that anticipation and get people to, like and remind them to like the post, go and comment, do whatever they need to do to enter that giveaway. Mm-hmm. I would say maybe like a couple times a year, but anything more than that, if you're doing giveaways like every single month, then yeah, unless it's very detailed of like a year-long campaign that people already are expecting a giveaway each month, then sometimes those giveaways can feel a little redundant and not make people want to go and follow them.
Sure.
So I would say, sprinkle them in through the year, unless you're doing like a full, hey, for 2025, we're having this specific year-long campaign, and the people know that that's what's going on, and you're not just trying to sell them every month.
Cool. So, Cameron, what's the best way for people to find you and engage with your services?
Yeah, so you can so we have our website, which is vessel-marketing.com. You can also go follow us on Instagram at vessel_marketing. And so that is where you could find us. You could also go follow me. I'm Cam_Pivach.
And that's Pivach.
Yes, Pivach. And so, yeah, and then we're also on LinkedIn and Facebook as well, Vessel Marketing, but Instagram is Vessel_marketing.
Any blast from the past pictures on your socials when you were a Disney princess?
I do have some throwback pictures of me as a princess.
I want to see that. That's cool. Well, it was fun to get to know you a little bit, Cameron. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't? I mean, this is not my world. I'm active on social media, but I wouldn't call myself a social media expert by any stretch. But is there anything I should have asked that I didn't?
I really don't think so. I would say just, my biggest piece of advice for dental practices who are, either reluctant to get on social media or wanting to and like don't know where to start, just start posting. And the more you post, the more you're going to get comfortable with things and see, what people like. And I would say, like, don't overthink it. If there's a cute picture of you and patients or people from your office, like that's all things that people are really going to enjoy. And it shows, like we said, that personality, you being humanized. You're not just a doctor. Those are all things that are really, really well received. no matter what. And that's always a great way to just start, is just, showcasing like what it's like whenever people come to your office. And so don't overthink it, but post that online, and that's actually going to do really well for your practice and show that you're relevant, you're there, and you're open for business, and you're wanting to meet new patients and strengthen the existing relationships you already have with the community you've already built. So
awesome. Well, what a great conversation. I really appreciate your time today. Hopefully that we can bump into each other sometime in person at a dental event or something like that. Best of luck with your company. I can see that you're passionate about it. When you talk about social media, you know what you're talking about, and you seem to be very passionate about it. So best of luck to you.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me today. It was great.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the founder of Vessel Marketing, Cameron Pivach.